The user experience, a term thrown around so often these days. But what exactly is it?
The experience, when you first discover it, when you see it in the store, when you buy it, when you, can't fit it into the car. It's in this great big box. It doesn't fit into the car. And when you finally do get it home, you open the box up and, it looks scary. I don't know if I dare put this computer together. All of that is user experience. It's everything that touches upon your experience with the product, and it may not even be near the product. It may be when you're telling somebody else about it.
So the user experience is cumulative. Every moment related to the product, directly or indirectly, affects your overall perception and thereby your experience with the product. Here's my favorite formal definition. The UX refers to the singular and accumulated experiences that occur for users as a consequence of them interacting with an object in a given context. The user experience is therefore just a result, a subjective one, meaning usability does not necessarily imply a positive user experience. The UX can hypothetically be any type of experience. We can better understand this concept by breaking out the contributing factors of UX in three distinct ways: object, user, and context. Given the desired experience, the weight of these factors will differ from product to product. But the most important factor to recognize is that these factors are interrelated, meaning the context affects the object affects the user, and the user affects the context. And all of these factors fuse with one another to shape an experience. But we can't discuss the UX without bringing in the company that popularized it.
Apple! Technology alone is not enough. That it's technology married with liberal arts, married with the humanities, that yields us the result that makes our hearts sing.
An intersection between technology and liberal arts. Essentially, Apple has tried to answer this. How can we improve our productivity with advanced technology that's seamless and provides a memorable experience? Their business model is therefore based upon the foundation of user-centered design. But as mentioned before, the user experience can literally be anything. So here's the most essential question. How do you optimize for the desired experience? Here's Joe Gebbia shedding some light on this concept.
We looked at people's willingness to trust someone based on how similar they are in age, location, and geography. The research showed, not surprisingly, we prefer people who are like us. The more different somebody is, the less we trust them. Now, that's a natural social bias. But what's interesting is what happens when you add reputation into the mix, in this case with reviews. Now, if you've got less than 3 reviews, nothing changes. But if you've got more than 10, everything changes. High reputation beats high similarity. The right design can actually help us overcome one of our most deeply rooted biases.
So our most deeply rooted biases can be altered via design. That's actually a bit terrifying when you think about it. The most powerful companies in the world today spend every day testing and designing for your validation and trust. Ben Thompson of Stratechery notes, "In consumer technology and increasingly enterprise, the best user experience wins, and it is the best hedge against disruption." So our positive experiences with products are unsurprisingly strong indicators for the future. Think about a video game with strong gameplay like Call of Duty, which still sells well to this day. Or a childhood Disney movie experience that you still can't get enough of. Or how about physical books still being more relevant than ebooks? These things are driven primarily by the nostalgia and experience one has that stays with them much longer than we could have ever forecast at the time they were created. So a question companies should be asking is whether they can create the next trend-setting product while staying within the realm of what's natural to the average consumer. Here's Steve Jobs in 2007 explaining where innovation would come from in the future.
You know, they don't want a car with 6 wheels. They like the car with 4 wheels. They don't want to drive with a joystick. They like the steering wheel. And so, you know, you have to, as Bill was saying, in some cases you have to augment what exists there and in some cases you can replace things. But I think the radical rethinking of things is going to happen in a lot of these post-PC devices.
Jobs again points to post-PC devices being the hub for innovation primarily because it's a clean slate, meaning consumers and businesses have zero expectations for what a new device should be. This is important because as we reach smartphone saturation, naturally the next question is where innovation will come from. And similar to PCs, consumers have grown accustomed to the way we use smartphones. So once again, we're in a position where the next user interface will likely begin to shift. This doesn't mean previous instances of UI will go away. Rather, this just means there will be a realignment, as each user interface only helps perform the tasks best suited to their capabilities. If we think back to the last shift in the user interface with the iPhone, it was led by a technological innovation known as multi-touch. Developed back in 1984, multi-touch technology has completely changed the way we interact with our devices. Microsoft researcher Bill Buxton once said, "Natural user interfaces exploit skills that we have acquired through a lifetime of living in the world." A touchscreen lets us swipe in either direction as if we're sifting through a book. Touch is just a natural ability we develop right out of the womb. And bringing this powerful user interface along with an integrated ecosystem to the public markets has allowed Apple to dominate the smartphone era. But as the smartphone market becomes saturated and these phones become feature-ridden, each incremental addition meant to improve the UX becomes that much more difficult and oftentimes counterproductive. Because ultimately, it's about reducing complexity, improving transitions, and allowing flow. Every addition to the core user interface at this point makes our experience more complex. And that may explain why Amazon has invested billions into the voice assistant market through Alexa, and Apple has done something similar in the wireless headphone market through AirPods. These seem to be plays on the next major user interface. Earlier, I broke out the factors that result in UX into 3 distinct categories: user, object, and context. When addressing the next logical shift in UI, of these 3 categories, context is the one we most want to pay attention to, because it's the most difficult aspect to get right. But with the advancements made in AI, we've never been closer. The question is, how can we personalize the user experience? This means our devices should be more like our personal assistants, supercharging our productivity through understanding personal context. Louis I. Kahn once said, "Thoughts exchanged by one and another are not the same in one room as in another." When circumstances change, so do our needs. Our personal assistants should therefore learn from our previous conversations as if it were a child. This requires more than just the current framework, where there are a variety of limitations. Instead, it may require an entirely new device and operating system. But this is still what gives Apple unique positioning. Although Siri is said to be behind, their integrated ecosystem and brand value gives them an advantage in connectivity, which may be the most important factor heading into the next era of computing. When I talked about transitions and reducing friction, that's what AirPods, iMessage, and the various other Apple products and features do. It's all in an effort to enhance our interaction with the physical world. Intelligence, by definition, is an organism's ability to adapt to a changing environment. When our devices can adapt as we adapt, that's when we can say we've transitioned successfully into the next level of the context aspect of the UX. And Apple is cognizant of their strategic advantages heading into the next generation of computing. So next time you hear Tim Cook stress the importance of privacy, just know that it's probably in an effort to make sure that Apple's customers don't let even a tiny fraction of uncertainty creep into their conscience. Because if it did, Apple's business model, built on the foundation of user-centered design, would begin to show its cracks. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, you can help us reach more people by hitting that like button. Also hit the subscribe button for more content like this.